Hi there BookTube, I hope you are all doing really well. Today I'm going to do another tag and I'm going to do the BookTube Recommends tag. This was created by Mark over at Book Time with Elvis and he very kindly tagged me in it. So yeah, thank you Mark, and yeah, I'll jump right into it. So yeah, I guess the whole idea of the tag is he just says what to read when ... and then he's provided loads of prompts, loads of sort of scenarios, and you can, if maybe some of the prompts don't apply to you, he said it's fine just to drop them, and also, yeah, to add your own. So I have left a few out, but I've added a couple as well. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. So the first prompt is what to read when you are relaxing on the beach. And I was just trying to think of a book that I had read on the beach, because yeah, that was the only way I thought I could really answer it. And that's Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency by Douglas Adams. So obviously everyone sort of knows Douglas Adams more for Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. But yeah, this is the other series that he worked on when he was alive. He was, I think, writing the third book in this series when he died. Yeah, this is the first one, and yeah, it's just great. It's just silly, oddball, sci-fi detective stories. Yeah, that's basically what it is, and it's great. So yeah, that's what I would read on the beach. And then the next up is what to read when it's a cold, dark and wet winter's evening. And I just went with a gut reaction for this. I just went with Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Yeah, I suppose I could have gone for a ghost story or something a little more out there, a little more spooky. But yeah, my gut reaction was Wuthering Heights. And once I thought that, I couldn't really go back on it. And yeah, I think just the illustration of this Wordsworth classics is really cool. It kind of goes with the prompts really, I think, and gets the vibe really well. Oh, just said vibe. Okay, moving on. What to read when you are on holiday in, and then put a place in. I went with Guernsey. Probably the last place I went on a proper holiday to before COVID was Guernsey. And obviously there is a book. There's the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. And yeah, it's a good book. It's not what I thought it was going to be really when I first jumped into it. And so yeah, there's more to it than you'd expect if you haven't read it. And the film's good too. So yeah, and Guernsey's a good place to go on holiday to if you haven't. Yeah, if you're able, yeah, I'd recommend Guernsey. It's pretty nice. Okay, and then what to read when you have what to read when you have an unexpected few minutes free. And this is a bit more random. I'm just going to try and find the sort of title page inside because there's no cover. But I go with the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, Edward Fitzgerald's version of it. I mean, yeah, this book itself is small. It can maybe fit in your pocket if you have decent sized pockets, or it can go in your satchel or handbag or coat pocket. But it just has these little 4-line stanzas, and it doesn't really matter if you read it all in one go. I suppose it's sort of wisdom literature is kind of what it's trying to be. And yeah, it's interesting. It's quite fun in its own way. Yeah, it's a good thing to read if you're out and about in a post office queue or something. And then the next is what to read when you want to leave your usual reading comfort zone. So I went for one. Yeah, it's pretty grim. It's pretty. I don't know. Yeah, it is a bit of a downer, this book, and it's a poetry book, and it's not really a very easy poem in any sense of the word, really. And that's Turner by David Dabdeen. This is his new and selected poems, but yeah, just the title poem, Turner, would be my answer to this tag really. And it's essentially, it's taking on a painting by, was it J.M.W. Turner, called The Slave Ship. And there's, yeah, I think that the cover, if you can make it out, that's a, that's a sort of copy of the painting there. And it's basically it's a painting of a slave ship, but there are all these, the limbs of slaves who have fallen, or not fallen really, but probably been thrown overboard or have jumped overboard. And some of them still have chains on, and there are sharks and all sorts of weird fish coming up out of the water. So it's a pretty horrific painting, and the poem even more so. It's very weird and quite hard, but I think important and good as well. I think it took me maybe 2 or 3 reads to really say that I enjoyed it. But I think for more or less anyone, this would be leaving your reading comfort zone, I think. But yeah, then on to something maybe a little bit lighter. I'm going to skip over what you would read if you want to read the life story of a lesser known person. Mainly just because I don't really read that much memoir or biographies or things like that. I'm quite sad to say that really. I'd quite like to be able to answer this question, but I think I'll have to leave it blank for the time being. But I'll move on to the next one, what to read when you're in the mood for fantasy. And I decided to go for kids fantasy, or for sort of middle grade fantasy, and this is Wildwood by Colin Malloy, and illustrations by his wife, Carson Ellis. Colin Malloy is maybe better known as the singer of the Decemberists, and lots of the sort of weird, kind of obnoxious words that he'd just throw and sprinkle into his songs, sprinkled throughout this book as well. But it's and it's just really fun, and the illustrations are great. It's sort of it's about some kids in Portland, Oregon, who get lost in the woods, and there are all these talking animals, and there's like an evil dowager empress or something. It's really odd, and the illustrations are just really quirky, really cool. This is really fun. Probably one of the most fun books that I own. And this is a whole series. I've only read this one, the first one, but yeah, there's a whole series. It's really good. And then the next 3 I've struck out. I'm not going to do. And they would be what you'd read if you want to be scared out of your wits. I don't really read horror, so sorry. What you read when you want to be moved. I didn't really know what to answer for that really, because I don't know. It seemed a bit broad for me, and I didn't really, couldn't really decide. And then what you'd read if you're a dog, or a suitable alternative. And again, I couldn't really decide on a book for that. Then the next one is what to read when I'm visiting your home. And I thought that there were kind of 3 ways to answer this, at least for me. I thought that I could either answer it with where I'm living now, where I was brought up, or kind of where I'm from and where my family's from. And I thought I'd go for the second, with where I was brought up, because for me it feels more like home to me, even if it's not where my family's from. So that'd be the northwest corner of Wales, the Welsh heartland. And there's this book by Kate Roberts. It's called Feet in Chains, and it's set in that area. I think I read this for uni. I'd read some of other books by Kate Roberts at school, but I read them in the original Welsh, and this is translated into English. by Katie Gramich, who was actually one of my lecturers at uni. I'll just read the synopsis at the back. So Snowdonia, 1880, and Jane Griffith is a newcomer to the district, dressed to the nines and almost fainting in the heat of the interminable prayer meeting out on the mountainside. In the pages of this classic 1936 novel, we see the passionate and headstrong Jane grow up and grow old, struggling to bring up a family of 6 children on the pittance earned by her slate-quarrying husband, Ivan. Spanning the next 40 years, the novel traces the contours not only of one vividly evoked Welsh family, but of a nation coming to self-consciousness. It begins in the heyday of Methodist fervour and ends in the carnage and disillusionment of the First World War. Through it all, Jane survives, the centre of her world and the inspiration of her children, who will grow up determined to change the conditions of these poor people's lives, to release them forever from their chains. So it's set on in a small quarry town. Kind of stone's throw from where I grew up, really. So I would heartily recommend this book. I need to reread it, actually. I don't remember it as much as I thought I did, so I'd recommend this. Right, and then next up is what to read when you are feeling down. I would recommend, if you're feeling down, I would recommend The Boy, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse. Is that the right order? Yeah. By Charlie Maxey, I think is how you say the surname. This is a lovely little book. I think I just read it in like half an hour. I just kind of sped through it. But you can just open it on any page, and it's really beautiful. And it's just got these beautiful little illustrations, and it's just wonderful. I couldn't part with this now that I've got it. It's going to be one of these books I just turn to over and over again. I guess battle some of the darker stuff that I read sometimes. It's a really wonderful, beautiful book. Just the illustrations again are just lovely. Let's see. Yeah, just look at that. So yeah, I'd recommend this. And then what to read when you're feeling adventurous or on the onset of itchy feet. Sorry. I hope this answer isn't too obnoxious, but I would recommend the RSPB Handbook of British Birds, or at least the bird book for your area of the world. I'd recommend, if you're able to just go out with your bird book and see what you can find. It might not be an epic adventure, but I get to see some birds. Well, that was a bit dorky. What to read when... I skipped over this one. You need to keep a child occupied. I didn't really know what to do with that one, so I skipped that one. But what to read when you're feeling amorous. I went with The Captain's Verses by Pablo Neruda. I think this book, these are poems he wrote to the woman he left his second wife for, and who consequently became his third wife, I think. There are a few good poems. I think, if you're feeling amorous, there might be some original ways of maybe describing what you're feeling in here. But I think he wrote this in kind of scraps, on the backs of envelopes and things like that, and it kind of does come across that way. But I think it fits the bill of something to read when you're feeling amorous. And Neruda was certainly feeling amorous and reflective, I think, when he was writing these poems. Then what to read when you've got the history book, and you can choose fiction or non-fiction. And again, I'm being a bit of a downer and going back to the to the slave trade, to Caribbean slavery. I had to pick Sacred Hunger by Barry Unsworth, and this if I remember right, this is inspired by the Zong massacre, which was essentially as a case when a ship called the Zong, a slave ship, partway along their voyage along the Middle Passage, just decided to eject loads of their slaves overboard, and you know that they make up their losses in insurance claims, and the issue went to court, but for insurance fraud, and it was a bit of an outrage at the time, really, among the abolitionists that this case was, you know, just being seen as an insurance fraud case and not as a murder case, or you know, or worse, because, you know, I think it was hundreds of people. On the top of my head, it's something like 400 people died, with most of them thrown overboard. Some of them decided to jump overboard because they didn't want the indignity of being thrown. So it's inspired by that event, but it goes off in a different direction. I think it's about a slave ship going missing and the crew going AWOL. But yeah, he just goes really deep into the workings of the slave trade, of what it was like to be on a slave ship, and it's harrowing but fascinating, and again very important. And yeah, if you haven't read it, I would recommend it. It's a bit chunky, but it's great. And then what to read if you have murder in mind? Well, I would recommend A Kiss Before Dying by Ira Levin. And this is a book that I read all in one go. I didn't go to bed until about 6:30 in the morning when I was reading this. And yeah, it's just a really tense murder thriller, and it's outrageous and kind of perverse, but really gripping. And at least for me, I was reading it because I really didn't want the murderer to be getting away with it. But yeah, it's a great book and a great read. So yeah, I'd read that if you have murder on your mind. And then yeah, what to read if nostalgia strikes you? And for me, there could be really nothing else but the Chronicles of Narnia. This was a gift I got recently, I think just this Christmas. And it's, you know, all the Chronicles of Narnia in one rather heavy volume. You know, it's got the illustrations, and it's, you know, it's kind of double columned like a Bible or something. But yeah, for me, yeah, if nostalgia strikes, yeah, Narnia is really the place to go for me. And then what to read if you want to come across as intelligent. Again, maybe an obnoxious choice from me. I would recommend The Poetry of Rilke, and this is Edward Snow's translation. But I would, if you want to come across as really intelligent and really obnoxious, which I think if you're wanting to come across as intelligent, you're really wanting to come across as obnoxious. I mean, yeah, this is a translation, but what I would do, if you really want to do it, is I would go and sit on a bus once it's safe to do so, and I would get any sort of facing translation of Rilke, and I would read it out loud in the original German on the bus. That's what I'd do. Okay, and then the last of Mark's tags was what to read when you want to fall asleep quickly. Yeah, this could be understood as you know, just picking a really boring book, but I decided to interpret it slightly different, and I decided to go with Under Milkwood by Dylan Thomas. And you know, this wouldn't make me fall asleep because it's boring, but just because I find, you know, his writing, it's so relaxing, so hypnotic to listen to. And I think I've fallen asleep many a time listening to the you know, the original sort of cast sort of radio recording of this with Richard Burton. But yeah, yeah. And then two that yeah, that I threw in. I put in what to read when you want to be more environmentally conscious. And although other people could probably suggest better books for this point, I thought it'd be an interesting prompt to throw in there. And my suggestion is Underland by Robert Macfarlane. And although the environment isn't it's not his core sort of thing in this book, it's not really what he's talking about all the time, but it does come up, and the question of whether we're being good ancestors comes up a lot. And it's one of those books that just gives you a nudge at rethinking maybe the way we're living in the present, and the way we see the present, and the way we see ourselves in the, you know, in history and in the larger scheme of things. So yeah, that's what I'd recommend if you want to be a little more environmentally focused, like plastic and nuclear waste and things like that all kind of come into it as well. So yeah, there we go. And then the last one I came up with, I guess it's kind of like what you want to read if you want to come across as intelligent, but not quite. It's what to read if you want to have your mind blown. And I went with, well, the original title is, I think, The Story of Your Life and Others. In the edition I've got, it's just Arrival, because it was adapted into a film called Arrival. And it's a collection of short stories by Ted Chiang, and it is, yeah, it's probably one of the best short story collections I've ever read. I think he's kind of the Borges, I hope I'm saying that right, probably not, but you know, the Borges of our generation. And yeah, this is, yeah, just pretty much every story in here just blows my mind. And yeah, so the film Arrival was based on the old sort of title story, The Story of Your Life and Others. I'm going to tag Peter Pete's Pensive and Emma at Emma with Books and Brushes. Yeah, and yeah, I hope you both are up for that. But yeah, I think that's that for this week. So yeah, let me know what you thought, maybe in the comments. But otherwise, that's that for now, and yeah, I'll see you all soon. Alright, BookTube, bye bye.